Tom worked on Space Base Orion as a repairman. His job was to fix broken wires, clean panels, and check machines. Life on the base was simple. He had no big dreams. He liked quiet days, hot coffee, and talking with the cleaning robot during his breaks. That morning, everything changed. An alarm echoed through the base. But it was not the danger alarm. It was the special diplomatic signal. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Even the robot paused its sweeping. On the big screens across the hall, a message played in bold letters. A royal ship from Velmara had arrived. Velmara was a planet far from Earth. The people of Velmara looked human in shape, but had strange eyes and silver-blue markings on their skin. They were known for being graceful and powerful. Years ago, Earth and Velmara made a peace treaty. One part of that treaty said that if a Velmaran royal ever wanted to marry a human, Earth would send volunteers. No one ever expected it to actually happen. Until today. Tom didn't care at first. He was not important. He thought, this is for soldiers or officers, not for a worker like me. He kept fixing a broken pipe near the airlock. But then a voice called out over the base speakers. All human males between ages 20 and 35 must gather in the main hall. Tom sighed. He wiped his hands and walked to the hall with the others. There were maybe 100 men there, soldiers in uniform, scientists with glasses, tall guys with medals. Tom stood at the back. He had messy hair, oil on his shirt, and a confused look on his face. Then she arrived. A group of guards walked in first, dressed in shining silver armor. Behind them came the princess. She was a young, beautiful woman, dressed in soft white robes with blue lights along the edge. She had a soft, natural beauty. Her eyes were bright green with golden rings. Her long black hair moved like silk. The room went silent. Every man stood tall. Some even smiled or nodded, hoping to be chosen. But the princess did not speak. She walked slowly through the rows. Her eyes looked at each man. One step, another step. She passed the soldiers. She passed the leaders. She walked to the back. Her eyes stopped on Tom. Tom felt nervous. He looked behind him, thinking maybe she was looking at someone else. But she raised her hand and pointed straight at him. Him, she said. A whisper ran through the crowd. Officers looked confused. A few men laughed quietly. One man near Tom said, "You must be lucky or cursed." Tom stepped back. Me? Wait, I'm not part of this. The Velmaran guard stepped forward. You have been chosen. Tom raised his hands. Hold on, I didn't sign up for this. I fixed things. I'm not a warrior or hero. The princess walked closer. She looked at him kindly, as if she knew him already. She said, "Your name is Tom. You work alone. You do not lie. You are honest and simple. That is why I choose you." Tom's mouth opened, but no words came out. He looked at the commander of the base, hoping for help. The commander just shrugged. The treaty says if she chooses, we must honor it. No vote, no list. Tom's head was spinning. This felt like a dream, or maybe a prank. He had never even spoken to her. Why would she pick him? He tried again. I'm not ready. I don't know your customs. I don't know anything about your world. The princess smiled. You will learn. I will help you. Before he could say anything else, the guards gently guided him forward. The crowd made a path. He was led out of the hall, past rows of staring eyes, into a waiting shuttle. Inside the shuttle, he sat across from her. She offered him water. He took it but didn't drink. What is your name? He asked. Alari, she said. Why me? He asked again, softer this time. She looked at him calmly. Because I saw you in a vision when I was a child. The wise one said I would know the right human when I saw him, and I did. Today, Tom leaned back. His heart was beating fast. He wanted to believe this was a mistake. But her voice was clear. Her eyes were serious. This was not a game. Outside the window, the stars began to shift. The shuttle moved toward the waiting Velmaran ship. It looked like a flower made of metal and light. As they got closer, Tom could feel the pull of something bigger than himself, a new life, a strange path. He didn't ask for it. but it had already begun. The Velmarin ship was silent inside, but it moved through space like a quiet giant. Lights on the walls pulsed slowly, glowing soft blue. The floor felt like walking on sand. Yet it held steady. Tom walked beside Princess Alari, not saying much. He felt out of place in his worker uniform, surrounded by tall guards and polished silver walls. Alari led him through a long hallway. The guards followed behind without a sound. At the end of the hall, a door slid open. Inside was a round room, with wide windows showing the stars outside. There was a table in the center with simple fruit, bread, and water. "You may sit," Alari said gently. Tom sat. His hand stayed on his lap. He looked around, trying to stay calm. "This is not how I imagined my day," he said with a weak smile. Alari sat across from him. She had taken off her ceremonial robe and now wore a soft gray outfit. It looked comfortable, like something a normal person would wear. "You do not have to be afraid," she said. Tom looked up. "I'm not afraid, just confused." She nodded. "That is fair. You were taken from your home without warning. I understand." Tom leaned forward. "You said you saw me in a vision when you were a child. What does that mean?" Alari looked at the stars outside the window. "On Velmara, when a royal child is born, the wise ones read the stars. They speak of the future. When I was 7 years old, they told me that I would one day meet a human, not a warrior, not a prince, a quiet one, a worker, a man who sees what others ignore. That man would be the key to our future." Tom shook his head. "But that could mean anyone. Why are you so sure it's me?" She looked into his eyes. "Because when I saw you, I felt it, the same feeling I had during the vision, calm, solid, true." Tom did not know what to say. No one had ever called him key to the future before. Most people called him the guy who fixes the broken things. "I'm just me," he said. "Yes," Alari said with a small smile. "That is enough." Tom looked down at the food but still didn't eat. "What happens now? Are we already married?" She shook her head. "Not yet. You must agree. That is our law. A royal may choose, but the chosen must also accept." That made Tom pause. "So I can say no." "You can," she said, "but it would bring shame to my family. The treaty would be broken. Peace might be lost." Tom stared at the table. This was not a simple yes or no. His choice had weight. He didn't want to be a hero. He just wanted a normal life. But now, lives might depend on his answer. "I need time," he said quietly. "You will have it," she replied. That night, he was given a small room in the guest quarters. It was warm and clean. The bed was soft, and the air smelled like flowers. Still, Tom could not sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thinking. He missed his tools. He missed his room back on the base. He missed his coffee and the quiet hum of machines. But most of all, he missed feeling like his life belonged to him. The next morning, a young Velmarin named Darren came to bring him to the upper deck. Darren was kind and calm. He spoke in a steady voice. "I was told to show you the ship," Darren said. Tom followed him through the halls. The ship was huge. There were gardens under glass domes, rooms filled with floating books, places where light bent in strange ways. It was all beautiful, but it did not feel like home. In one room, Tom saw a group of children learning from a round screen. They turned and stared at him. One of them waved. Tom smiled and waved back. The others followed. "You are the chosen one boy said. Tom chuckled nervously. "That's what they say." The boy smiled wide. "We read about you." Tom raised a brow. "Already?" "Yes," said the boy. "The story is spreading." Tom kept walking. Darren led him to the top level where Alari stood near a wide window. She wore a different outfit now, a long silver blue robe. Her hair was tied back. She looked peaceful. Tom stood beside her. They watched a group of stars forming a slow swirl. "I saw the children," he said. "They know about me already." "Yes," she said. "They believe you are brave." Tom laughed. "I'm not sure about that." "You stayed," she said. "That is enough for now." They stood in silence for a while. Then Tom asked, "What if I agree to this? What does my life look like?" You will live in the palace, she said. You will have your own space, your own voice in the council. You will not be a decoration. You will help shape the future. Tom turned to her. And if I say no, then I will return alone. She said softly, and our world will change, perhaps for the worse. Tom looked back at the stars. He still didn't know if he was ready, but he now understood one thing. This was not about just him. It was about trust between two worlds. And somehow, he had become the bridge. He still needed time. But for the first time since being chosen, he started to wonder what life could be like if he said yes, as checked. Tom had been on the Velmarin ship for 4 days. Each day felt stranger than the one before. Every person he passed bowed slightly. Some whispered his name. Others stared with curious eyes. He felt like a guest, but not fully welcome. He was still learning their ways. Every corner of the ship had beauty and silence. But he missed the sound of tools and machines. Alari stayed close, but not too close. She gave him space and time. She spoke kindly, answered his questions, and explained their traditions. Still, Tom knew something more was going on. She had chosen him for a reason deeper than her vision. One morning, Darren entered his room with a message. The princess asked you to join her in the Star Garden. Darren said. Tom nodded and followed. The walk took longer than usual. They went through areas of the ship he had not seen before. The walls turned from silver to glass. Finally, Darren stopped in front of a tall door. She waits inside. Only the royal family may enter this place. But she has given you permission, Darren said, and stepped back. Tom slowly pushed the door open. Inside, it was like stepping into a dream. A wide garden stretched beneath a glass ceiling. Trees with glowing leaves reached upward. A soft breeze moved the grass. Strange flowers bloomed in quiet corners. In the center stood Alari. She looked peaceful, standing near a pool that reflected stars from above. Tom walked toward her. This is the most beautiful place I've ever seen, she turned with a soft smile. This is the heart of the ship. It is called the Garden of Stars. Only my family may enter. Tom looked around. Why bring me here? Alari touched a small stone beside the pool. A beam of light rose from the water. Images appeared in the air. Shapes of people, battles, ships, planets. This is our history, she said, and our warning. Tom watched closely. He saw a young Velmarin queen standing beside a human man. They were joined by a ring of light. Behind them were filled the sky. Long ago, Alari said, Velmar faced a great danger. The Voron attacked us. They came from the dark edge of space. They destroyed our cities and broke our skies. Tom watched as the human man raised his hand. A group of humans joined him, fighting beside the Velmarins. The images faded into a calm scene. Peace returned. The human man stood beside the queen, holding a child. That man was your ancestor, Alari said. Tom blinked. What? Yes, after the war. He remained here. He married the queen. But the line was short. He died young. The child disappeared. The bloodline was lost. Tom shook his head. How do you know I'm connected to him? Our machines traced your DNA, Alari said. You carry the same signal, the same pattern. You are of that line. Tom stepped back. He tried to think clearly. Why didn't you tell me before? I needed you to choose freely. She said, if I told you at the start, you might have said yes for the wrong reason. I wanted you to choose because you wanted to, not because of duty. Tom looked at the pool. The stars reflected on its surface. And you believe I can help your people. Again, Alari nodded. Another war may come. The Voron grows stronger. We need someone who understands both sides. Someone who can see what others do not. Tom sat beside the pool. I fix broken wires. I clean panels. I don't lead people. She sat next to him. That is why you are the right choice. You don't want power. You don't speak loud. You listen. You solve quietly. That is what we need. Tom thought about his life. All the days he worked alone. All the times people ignored him. Maybe those quiet skills mattered more than he believed. He looked at Alari. She didn't pressure him. She only waited. What happens if I accept? He asked. You will become part of the royal line, she said. You will help lead. You will stand beside me, not behind me. And if I refuse, he asked. She looked down. Then the people will lose hope. The story of the past will become a story of loss. The treaty may break. War may return. Tom stood up. He looked at the stars through the glass. He did not feel ready. But maybe no one ever feels ready for something big. I need to walk, he said. Alari nodded. Take your time. Tom left the garden and walked through the halls alone. He passed workers fixing lights, children laughing, and elders sitting in quiet rooms. This was a world full of life, a world that wanted peace. He returned to his room and sat by the window. Earth looked small in the distance. He remembered the bass, the noise of machines, the taste of coffee, and the quiet moments he had taken for granted. He now stood between two paths. One led back to the life he knew. The other led into the unknown. He closed his eyes and listened to the soft hum of the ship. For the first time, it felt like home. Tom stood in front of a tall gate made of glowing stone. The gate marked the entrance to the trials hall. Behind it, 3 challenges waited. Each one was different. Each one would test if Tom was worthy to stand beside Princess Alari. He had not asked for this, but now he was ready. Not because he wanted power or a crown, but because he believed he could help. Alari stood beside him in a simple robe. Her hands were folded in front of her. She looked calm, but her eyes held quiet worry. These trials are not to hurt you, she said. They are here to reveal your heart. Tom nodded. I'll try my best. You don't need to be perfect, she said. Just honest. The gate opened. A soft wind passed through. Tom stepped forward. Inside, the walls glowed with shifting patterns. The first chamber opened like a cave. A voice echoed from above. Trial 1. Bodied and felt heat rise around him. The ground shook. A platform appeared ahead with spinning walls, rising floors, and falling blocks. It looked like a moving maze built to test speed and timing. On the far end, a door waited. Tom took a breath and ran. At first, he moved well. He ducked under beams, jumped over gaps, and rolled past blocks. But halfway through, he tripped. A small platform spun too fast. He hit the floor hard and groaned. He stood again and looked around. The floor patterns were not random. They followed a rhythm. Tom watched for a moment, then moved with care. He timed his steps with the turns. He reached the final block and jumped as it opened. The door slid up. He passed the first trial. The second chamber was darker. A chair waited in the center. Round it floated screens and blinking lights. Trial 2. Behind him sat. A soft band wrapped around his head. A deep voice spoke again. You will be given problems. Solve them. No help. No tools. Only your thinking. Symbols flashed on the screen. Puzzles appeared one after another. Tom frowned and leaned forward. Some were about shapes. Some were about sound. Some were about numbers. He failed the first few. The system buzzed and showed a red mark. He kept going. He started to see patterns. The puzzles repeated in new ways. He began to answer faster. The red marks stopped. Green lights began to appear. His mind worked harder than ever. After 20 puzzles, the screens faded. A voice said, "You learn fast." That is rare. The next door opened. Tom walked into the third chamber. It looked like a quiet room. A table stood in the middle with 2 chairs. Alari sat on one side. She looked different now. Her face was sad. Her eyes were filled with tears. Trial 3. Hardam sat across from her. He did not speak first. The voice returned. You must protect what you love, even when truth is hidden. Alari looked at him and said, You will be sent back to Earth. You cannot stay here. Your presence brings danger. Tom stared at her. Why? Because the council has changed their mind. They fear you. They believe you will bring war. Do you believe that? Tom asked. She looked down. I don't know. Maybe they are right. Tom felt pain rise in his chest. I didn't ask to be chosen. But I stayed. I faced your trials. I did everything I could. They will not listen, she said. Then I will talk to them, he said. They won't allow it. Tom stood up. I'm not leaving. Not without being heard. If you believe in me, help me. The voice spoke again. That was not real. You were tested. You chose to stand, not run. The room changed. The fake Alari faded. The real one entered through the far door. She looked proud. You passed, she said. Tom stepped down from the platform. Was that truly a test? Yes, she said. Some fail, some break. But you stood. Tom wiped sweat from his face. What now? We return to Velmara, she said. The trials are done. Now the court must see what I have seen. They walked together back through the glowing halls. Outside the ship windows, stars passed slowly. Tom felt tired, but not broken. He had faced fire, puzzles, and doubt. He had stood strong, not because he was the smartest or fastest, but because he cared. That was his strength. In the royal dining room, a small feast was prepared. Alari invited him to sit. The food smelled rich and sweet. Musicians played soft sounds on strange string instruments. You earned a place here, Alari said. Not because of fate, but because of choice. Tom looked at the food, then at her. And now the court decides. Yes, she said. Some may not agree, but they cannot deny your heart. Tom smiled. I'm ready for them, outside. The stars lit the path to Velmara. A world waited. Some welcomed him, others doubted him. But Tom had already passed the hardest test, believing in himself. The royal ship entered Velmara's orbit slowly. From the window, Tom saw the world below. It looked peaceful. Blue seas, green lands, and shining cities rested on floating platforms. Birds with silver wings flew near the towers. Long bridges connected the sky structures. But something felt wrong. There were fewer lights than before. Some towers had damage. Smoke rose from distant areas as they moved closer. Tom noticed black marks on a wide field, as if something had burned the land. Bellari stood beside him. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed concern. What happened here? Tom asked. Small attacks. She said, ships we do not recognize. They strike at night and vanish. We believe they are testing our defenses. Tom looked at the sky. You think it's the Voron? Alari nodded. Their ships move differently now. Faster, sharper. We believe they are using stolen human technology. Tom felt a cold feeling in his chest. How did they get it? We do not know, Alari said. But the patterns are clear. They have changed, and they are coming. The ship landed on a tall platform near the royal tower. Guards waited. With long staffs and silver armor, the palace rose behind them like a mountain of crystal and stone. Tom stepped out beside Alari. The wind touched his face. The sky was orange with soft light. People on the balconies watched silently. Some whispered. Some pointed. Inside the palace, Tom was led to a large hall. The council of elders sat in a half circle. They wore long robes and had glowing emblems on their collars. Their eyes followed Tom as he entered. Alari walked ahead and spoke. This is the human I have chosen. He passed the trials. He stood with strength, mind, and heart. I ask you to honor the treaty. An old council member stood. His voice was slow but firm. We do not doubt the trials. But this is not a normal time. Our enemies move in the shadows. We must be careful. Another member, a woman with bright silver hair, added, the human brings a strange future. It may help us. It may bring danger. We must test him once more. Tom stepped forward. You can test me again if needed, he said. But I think you need help more than answers. You have an enemy using technology you don't understand. I've seen human machines my whole life. I know how they work. I can help. The room was silent. Then the lead elder spoke. Very well. You will join the Defense Council as a guest. You will observe and advise. If your words bring value, we will decide again. Tom nodded. I'll do my best. That night, Tom was given a new room in the East Tower. It was larger, with a wide window showing the city lights. A small table held books, tools, and maps. Alari visited before he slept. You spoke with strength, she said. I hope it was enough. Tom replied, you have a place here now, even if they do not see it yet. Tom looked out the window. If the Voron are copying human tech, I need to see the remains of their last attack. I need to study their patterns. Alari smiled. I knew you would ask. I already told the defense team. The next morning, Tom met with the defense council. They showed him broken parts from enemy ships. Tom touched the metal and smiled slightly. This is Earth alloy, he said. But this part is fused with alien power. They've blended the systems. He pointed to the wires. See this twist? This is human design. But the energy pulse is Velmarin style. They're copying both sides. A general leaned in. How do we stop it? Tom thought for a moment. They understand strength, but they don't understand mirrors. The room fell quiet. Mirrors? Someone asked. Tom smiled. If we place false energy signatures in space, they'll chase ghosts. We send them fake signals, lead them into empty zones, make them waste power. The council discussed the idea. One general said it might work. Another wanted to see a test. That night, Tom helped build a small mirror device using parts from the palace lab. The next day, it was launched into orbit, ours. Later, the warning bells rang. 3 Voran ships entered the edge of Velmara's system. They moved toward the mirror signal. Velmaran defenses stayed silent. The ships followed the false signal into the empty zone. There, hidden satellites burst with light and noise. The Voran ships spun in confusion. One crashed into a moon. The others turned and ran. Cheers filled the defense hall. The general stood and faced Tom. You saved our outer cities. Tom nodded. It's only the first step. They'll try again. The general looked at the others. Let this human speak freely from now on. That evening, the council met again. This time, their tone had changed. He used no weapon. One elder said, only knowledge. Another said, he sees what we missed. Perhaps the vision was true. The lead elder stood. Let it be written. The human named Tom is now joined to our line by honor and right. Tom was called back to the grand hall. Alari stood at the center. She wore a blue robe with silver bands. Her hands were open. The elder spoke. Do you accept the bond? Tom looked at her. He remembered the day she pointed at him. He remembered the trials, the garden, the puzzles, the worry, and now the trust. I do, he said. Alari stepped forward and placed her hand in his. A ring of soft light wrapped around their hands. The people watching began to cheer. A sound of hope filled the air. Tom looked at Alari. I still don't know why you picked me, he said. She smiled. Because I saw what others couldn't. Days passed after the joining ceremony. Velmara began to change. People no longer whispered when Tom walked through the palace. Guards saluted him. Engineers asked him questions. Children ran to greet him when he visited the learning halls. Tom spent most of his time with the Defense Council, helping build stronger signal traps and smart decoys. Velmaran ships were now trained to work with those new systems for the first time in years. The outer cities felt safe, but Tom still had questions. In his heart, one question would not leave his mind. Why did the Vision choose him? He was not a leader. He had no royal blood. He had not even left the station before that day. And yet, he was here, trusted, respected, married into royalty. One evening, Tom was working late in the East Tower. He was studying old maps of battle zones when a soft knock came at the door. Alari stepped in, holding a small sealed box. You look tired, she said. I feel tired, Tom replied. But I keep thinking. I want to understand more about your vision. I want to know where I really come from. Alari walked in and placed the box on the table. I brought you something, she said. This may help. Tom opened the box slowly. Inside was a glowing cube. It shimmered with a soft golden light. This is a memory vault, she explained. It holds recorded moments from our history. Only royal hands can open it. Until now, Tom touched the cube. A beam of light rose from it. Images formed in the air. He saw an old Velmaran queen standing in a quiet room. Beside her stood a human man. His face was worn from battle, but he stood tall. That is my great ancestor, Alari said, the queen who led our people through the first war. Tom looked closer. The human man beside her looked familiar. Not his face, but his way of standing, his calm eyes. his hands always moving like he was thinking. He looked like someone who worked with machines. He was a builder, Alari said, not a soldier. He came from Earth with a trade ship, but when the Voron attacked, he stayed. He used his mind to help. He found ways to protect cities. The Queen chose him. Just like I chose you. Tom watched as the images showed them building things together. Defenses, shields, tools. Not once did the man hold a weapon, yet the Velmarans followed his lead. What happened to him? Tom asked. He died in a storm, Alari said, before the child was grown. The line became weak. The child vanished during a raid. Some believe the bloodline ended. Tom sat down. But it didn't know, Alari said. It survived, hidden, lost through time, until now. She handed him a scroll with Earth symbols written in old language. We searched your records. She said, your family line traces back to a child adopted by traders after a crash. That child carried the mark of our people. Tom read the names. Slowly, they became familiar. His grandfather, his father, then his name. It was all real. I never knew, he said. You were never meant to know, Alari replied. The past was forgotten by both sides. Tom stood up and walked to the window. Velmara's sky was full of stars. In the distance, lights blinked. On new towers being built, life was growing again. You chose me because of the vision, he said. But it was always more than that. I was part of your world already. Yes, she said. You were always meant to return. Tom turned around. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I needed you to choose with your heart, she said. Not with history, not with blood, but with your own will. Tom thought about the trials, the doubts, the strange new world he had entered. And he thought about the people, the guards who smiled now, the engineers who asked him for help, the children who played without fear. I don't feel special, he said. That is why you are, Alari replied. The memory vault faded. The cube closed itself slowly. That night, Tom could not sleep. He walked through the halls alone. He passed statues of past kings and queens. None of them had his face. Yet now he was part of their story. In the Garden of Stars, he found Darren waiting beside the pool. You knew. Tom stood in the quiet Garden of Stars. The night wind moved gently through the tall crystal trees. Across the stone path, Darren stood with his arms behind his back, watching the sky. Tom walked slowly toward him. You knew, didn't you? Tom asked. Darren nodded. Yes, I knew who you were from the moment you arrived. I saw the signs. I heard the way the vision described you, and I saw the way Alari looked at you. Why didn't you say anything? Darren turned to him. Because knowing the truth too early would have changed your choices. You needed to be tested as yourself, not as a figure from the past. Tom sat on the stone bench beside the pool. The stars above them were brighter tonight. Ships flew silently in the upper sky, patrolling the outer limits. There was peace now, but both of them knew it would not last. The Voron haven't attacked. In weeks, Tom said. Do you think they're gone? No, Darren said. They're watching, waiting. They know something has changed. You changed everything, and they fear what you'll do next. Tom stayed quiet for a moment, then spoke. What if I'm not enough? What if I'm just a mistake? Darren smiled. For the first time, only a fool thinks he has all the answers. And only a true leader knows fear, but keeps going. That's why Alari was right to choose you. The next morning, Tom and Alari stood before the High Council. The chamber was filled with leaders from every region of Velmara. Screens showed cities rebuilding. New trade routes had opened. Life was returning. A council elder stood up. We are here today not just to honor the past, but to decide our future. Velmara must choose a new protector. The war is not over. Peace is a fire we must keep burning. The elder turned to Tom. You came to us as a stranger. Now you stand here as one of our own. But the final choice is not ours. It is yours. Alari reached out and took Tom's hand. Whatever you decide, I will stand beside you. Tom looked at the faces around the chamber. Some were hopeful. Some were still unsure. But all were waiting. I came to this planet without a plan, he said. I never thought I would be chosen. I never thought I would care so much, but I do. I care about the people, about the cities, about the children who now laugh without fear." He paused. "I'm not a soldier. I'm not a king. But I can build. I can fix. I can help. And if you let me, I will protect Velmara not with power, but with ideas, with work, and with heart." The chamber stayed silent for a moment. Then the elder stepped forward and placed a golden band on Tom's shoulder. "Then rise as protector of Velmara," he said. Applause rose across the room. Tom took a deep breath. His journey was not over. In many ways, it was just beginning. Over the next weeks, Tom and Alari visited every major city. People gathered in celebration. Old walls were rebuilt. New defenses were tested. Velmara was no longer just surviving. It was growing stronger. One night, while standing on the observation deck of the Sky Shield Tower, Tom received a private signal. A drone from the edge of the system had captured a strange signal. Tom opened the message. It showed a Voran scout ship, but something was wrong. The ship looked damaged. Its signal was not threatening. It was calling for help. Alari joined him on the deck. "You saw it." "Yes," Tom said. "It could be a trap, or it could be something else." Tom studied the signal again. It was repeating a phrase in an old galactic code. "We surrender. Help us." Tom turned to Alari. "I want to go. You're the protector now. You don't have to take that risk." "I know," Tom said. "But this is why I was chosen. Not just to fight, but to understand, to try something different." Within hours, a small scout ship was ready. Tom chose two trusted pilots and took flight. Alari watched as his ship left the sky. They found the Voran ship drifting near a dead moon. It was barely holding together. Inside were four alien figures, weak, starving. One of them had a broken voice unit. Tom stepped into the chamber and held up his hands. "We're here to help." One of the Voran looked up. Its eyes were tired. Its voice crackled. "No more war. We are not your enemy. We are only survivors." Tom nodded. "Then let's begin something new." They brought the Voran survivors back to Velmara. Many were afraid at first, but Alari stood beside Tom during the arrival. "These are not prisoners," she said to the people. "They are a sign that the war can end, that we are stronger than hate." And so, peace began. Not quickly, not without struggle, but it began. In the months that followed, Tom's name spread beyond Velmara. Other worlds heard of the human who changed a planet not with weapons, but with hope. He stood each day not as a king, but as a builder, a husband, a leader who never asked to be chosen, but accepted the call when it came. And beside him, always, was the alien bride who saw what no one else did, who picked him without asking. Because sometimes the heart sees what logic cannot, and in that truth, Velmara found its future. As checked,